Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here on lunchtime on a Friday. We're thrilled that you've joined us to learn about FAME's online financial wellness resource and program. I'm really excited. Often these financial check-ins, we have a host from FAME, sometimes a guest, but I'm really excited this month to have Kimberly Noy with us, who is a client success manager at iGrad and Enrich. So she is the go-to expert that we work with at FAME to help us with the platform and our ability to integrate custom content and kind of understand the new resources. So we're really excited that she's with us today, and she's going to be co-presenting with me and running through the demo as well. For those of you who haven't been part of a financial check-in or haven't met me at FAME, I'm Mary Dyer, and I serve as Education, Affordability, and Financial Wellness Manager at FAME. And also joining, you'll see him on screen, is Steve Kautz. He is our Financial Education Program Specialist, who will be with us on the webinar, not presenting, but he'll keep an eye on the Q&A and the chat, and we'll just move through. A couple of housekeeping details. This webinar, as you saw, I did go ahead and record it, so we will make it available on our YouTube page. And for anyone who registered for the webinar, we will send the recording along with some follow-up resources to you. So feel free to share the information far and wide. This webinar is part of our monthly financial check-in with FAME webinar series. And our next webinar, I just wanted to mention, is on October 3rd. And that is going to be a financial wellness session that's focused on budgeting. Steve will be presenting kind of top 10 areas where our budget has leaks, if you will. And so things he'll be zeroing in on in terms of budgeting and ways to tighten up that budget. So this series is offered on the first Friday of every month at noon. So if you want to visit our webpage, you can go to events, or you can go to our financial check-in page and check out the webinars and register. All of them are recorded and loaded to our YouTube page. So if there's something you can't attend or something that you would like to share with a colleague or an employee, certainly feel free to do that. Today's topic, as I said, we will be focusing on our online financial wellness platform, which is powered by Enrich and iGrad. So I'm going to dive right into that now and go ahead and get started. So I'm really excited to share this resource for those of you who aren't familiar with it. We have been partnering actually with iGrad for about 12 years on these different products that are available online. iGrad, in this particular presentation, there's kind of two platforms that we use, iGrad and Enrich. So I'll kind of talk about the differences. But both of these tools are made available to all Maine people free of charge, made possible by FAME. And so that's a big important thing that I want to emphasize, is that this is a free online financial wellness platform that is available for everyone in Maine. The high school and college version is called Enrich, and there is a specific platform for those users. And then for individuals who are in adulthood, they finish college, they're working, really kind of after that college time frame, we have a tool called Enrich. And so there's two unique platforms, and we provide them across the state. So again, we want you to share it as you're learning about this tool for yourself. We want you to share it far and wide with employees, with students that you're interacting with, certainly colleagues, family members, anyone that you know. So a little bit about iGrad and Enrich. The company was founded in 2009, and they operate under the Aztec software company. They have over 13,000 partner organizations that they partner with to provide these resources. The really cool thing about Enrich and iGrad is that the platforms are interactive and prescriptive. And so what that basically means, and we're going to kind of go through this as we dive into each platform. When a user signs up for Enrich or iGrad, and again, 100% free, no cost to the user, they are going to go through a series of questions, a financial checkup that's going to collect information about them in terms of their life stage, their financial goals, their financial kind of pain points, what keeps them up at night. And it's then going to serve up content to them based on how they answer that initial profile. So that's really exciting, because what that means is that when you log into Enrich as a user, my Enrich dashboard doesn't look like Kimberly or Steve's Enrich dashboard. They're very unique based on the user, and it's going to serve up recommendations based on our situation and life stage and how we interact with the platform. So that makes it pretty unique. There's a lot of online resources out there, free resources, but they're kind of what I refer to as static, in the sense that when you log in, you kind of see the same tools every time. Whereas with these tools, they are serving up that content based on your stressors and your financial goals. The sites are mobile enabled and responsive, so you can use it on a laptop, a PC, or on a phone or an iPad, whatever the device is. They are fully ADA compliant. And then this next bullet is really, really important. There's no data sharing or no advertising built into this. So again, the financial model is that Enrich and iGrad are partnering with organizations who purchase the platform for a set of users. Sometimes it's an employer for their employees. It might be a bank or credit union for their members. And in this case, it's FAME for the state of Maine. And so what that means is we're not going to sell your data. We're not going to have third-party promotions or advertising or emails that you'll be bombarded with. It's really very locked down in terms of that, and no data sharing occurs. And as I mentioned, iGrad is available to students, faculty and staff, alumni, potential students, parents, employees, and then Enrich is also available to adults in any of those areas that I just mentioned. So for students who graduate from college, they can continue to use their iGrad platform, or they can migrate into Enrich, and that can be used throughout their life cycle. So really want to emphasize that it's free, it's non-commercial, we're not going to sell your data, and you're not going to be bombarded by a bunch of stuff. So that I really like when I'm using any online platform. Now, a couple of ways, I just want to describe some of the ways that we partner with iGrad to provide these resources. As I mentioned, it's available to all Maine people, but we also have a partnership where, as part of our private loan and our private loan refinancing program, so we have a couple of programs that we administer, and some loan programs that we partner with financial institutions across the state, which is called the Maine Private Education Loan Network. We have, within those programs, as part of the loan application, we have a financial education course that's required before you can go through the entire loan application. And really the whole point of this is that we want people, when they're applying for a private loan, to understand their obligation, and then also ensure that they have exhausted all other financial aid and financing options, lower cost options, if you will, before they're turning to that private loan. And so we require that. We partner with financial institutions across the state with those programs, and they have embraced that model where we're embedding that financial education tool into the application. Another way that we partner with iGrad is we have purchased, as part of our partnership, unique iGrad sites for participating Maine colleges. So all of the campuses of the University of Maine system, the campuses of the Maine Community College system, Maine College of Art and Design, and Thomas College. And so all of those institutions, and you see an image here of Thomas College's direct custom URL. It's co-branded as Thomas College, and it's specific to students of that campus. You can visit fame.igrad.com, and you can find your school and log into your school's platform, or again, you can just use what I call our generic FAME landing page for iGrad. But that's something else that we have partnered. If there are other colleges who've joined this webinar, I don't see the participants right now on screen. If you are not a participant, please reach out to me because we would like to explore ways to include other higher ed institutions in Maine and give them an opportunity to have that unique iGrad site. There's customization available. So if there's specific information that you want your students to be aware of, there's an opportunity to, provide that information through your iGrad platform. So please reach out to me if you're not a participating campus. But again, all of the University of Maine system, Maine Community College system have their own unique iGrad sites. So let's talk a little bit about how you get started. So first of all, you're going to visit either the fame.igrad.com or fame.enrich.org to create an account. And really, I always recommend when I'm talking with employers or HR professionals, others who maybe want to use the tool in the workplace, I think the best way to get to know Enrich and iGrad is to just set up your own account and start working with it and using it, because that's really the best way to kind of get a handle on what is available and what features exist. So the first step is to create that account. One of the questions I commonly get when folks are creating accounts is, well, should I use my campus email address? Should I use my email address through work? I think really it's up to you, but I think to use the email address that you're most likely to kind of hold on to over time. That's probably the best approach, to use a personal email. That way, if anything changes, I know for college students, they graduate, they leave school, their email doesn't stay active indefinitely. So I think using the email address that you think is most constant or consistent is the best way to go. So you'll create that account, and then from there, you'll go through your financial wellness checkup. So as I mentioned, you'll go through a series of questions trying to get at sort of what life stage, what are some of your financial goals, what are some of your stressors, the things that kind of keep you up at night, things that you want to be working on. And then again, that's a first key step. From there, you will then, my recommendation, so folks say to me, what do I do first? Okay, so first create an account, do your financial wellness checkup, and then I think it's a really good next step to complete your money personality assessment. We'll take a look at that when we go into the dashboard. But those are really the key steps. And then from there, you can look at other content, complete a mini course, and steps after that. So from there, I'm actually going to turn it over to Kimberly, and she's going to talk about the goal streak and the next steps, and then take us through a demo. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Kimberly. I'll continue to drive with the slides. So just tell me when you want me to go to the next slide, and I'll also monitor the chat and see if we have any questions. And feel free to chime in on anything that I would have missed in early slides, because it's great to have the actual authority and expert from iGrad and Enrich with us. So I will turn it over to you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being here. Just wanted to, I know it's Friday and it's the after lunchtime, late morning, early afternoon. So thank you for devoting this time to learning about this awesome resource for you. So you pretty much covered all the important stuff, Mary, just kind of picking up where you left off with setting a streak goal. So that is something that's new-ish, and it's really designed to incentivize you to keep working on your financial well-being. So we understand that not everybody has the same goals and the same amount of time to devote to it. So we have it where you can set it up as a daily or weekly or monthly streak goal. And you are rewarded for meeting your streak goals. So what will happen is that by completing your streak goal, you're actually earning sprouts. And we'll talk a little bit about what sprouts are and how that can help you with entering into our monthly sweepstakes in a little bit. But that would be the next step. So if you want to transition to the next slide. Okay, so there's the slide after this shows the exact steps to follow, but just before we get to that, This is what it would look like when you complete the onboarding and you're focused on your recommendations. So that is where it's going to curate that recommended content so that you don't have to go searching throughout the platform for things that are going to be the most relevant to you. So our platform is dynamic, and that is kind of what makes it very special. Like Mary said, it's not static and it is very tailored to you. And as you can see, you could click on that view recommendations box and it's going to take you to a variety of different recommended content that it kind of curates for you. So going to the next step, this is the slide that kind of just bottom lines the first steps on the platform, which is really just getting started with creating your account. Easy peasy, takes just a couple of seconds to do. Completing that financial wellness checkup, which again is the platform's way of getting to know you as an individual and your financial situation. The Your Money Personality is a really interesting tool that we have available for you, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But that is what we would recommend as the next step because that is kind of the foundational aspect to you managing your finances. And then, of course, looking at that recommended content, which we have a variety of different learning methods that you can engage with. And we always like to focus on recommending a course. And what I like to say is really they're called mini courses because when we think of course, we think about, oh my gosh, is this going to take me forever to do? I don't have time for this. I'm not going to bother with it, right? But our courses are really effectively mini courses and they only take a few minutes to do. Some of them are a little bit lengthier. Insurance as an example, and go figure that our insurance course is one of the longer ones. It is a little bit more of a complex topic, but they are relatively quick. And so when we think about focusing on cultivating our financial well-being and kind of just establishing a routine around our finances and our financial education. It doesn't have to take that much time. It doesn't have to be this arduous task. It can actually kind of be a little bit fun, even. And we try to make the platform as fun as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and transition to the actual platform. And I'm going to start with the very basics of where you go to get logged in. And for the purposes of today, we're using fame.enrich.org. And I'm going to go very slowly through the demonstration. If you have any questions for me along the way, feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to pause and address those questions. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So as you can see, we mentioned the fame.enrich.org handle, and I already created a test account just for time purposes, but I did want to show you where you would go to sign up for the platform for the first time. And it's very simple. Like I mentioned to you, just takes a couple of seconds. The whole onboarding process really just takes, like everything that we just talked about on that slide, it really just takes, I would say, maybe 15 minutes to do. So getting started should not be too difficult. It's something that you could do right after this webinar today. So you're going to enter some of your personal information here. And then the one thing that I did want to bring up is that if we are asking for you to select your affiliation, your employer, there are a variety of different selections here to choose from. And then of course, we also have our other category, and we need for you to agree to the terms of service. And otherwise, you will be good to go after that. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged in with the test account that I created earlier today. And we'll jump into what the platform looks like. So what we're going to open up with is our dashboard. So this is where all your action is at. Okay, so I'm going to start off by just pointing out that we have a left-hand navigation bar. We also have a navigation bar at the top of the screen as well. This is your home page. You can see here that the streak goal that I decided to set for myself, because I know I have a lot of time commitments and I think maybe right now daily would not be feasible for me. I selected weekly, but you can always change it. If you see that you want to interact more, you can change it to daily, you can change it to less frequently, to monthly. And you're going to see here that there are different priority tasks that are laid out for me. There's also something that we have each month. We have a fresh topic that we focus on. September is Emergency Fund Month. So all of the content that we have for the variety of learning methods is going to be geared towards emergency fund building. We also have daily tasks that we recommend for folks. So sometimes, like we saw before, we have people that want to come to the platform and interact on a daily basis. So these are not tied to the monthly theme, but these are fresh served content that's going to be relevant for you that you can focus on a daily basis if you should choose to. So then looking below, you'll see some of those recommendations that we talked about before. And it is a very, we've gone through a couple of changes to what this dashboard looks like. Before, it used to kind of be unlimited. You could keep scrolling down and down and down and see a bunch of content, but this is a little bit more streamlined and designed to help you see what is the most relevant for you in your stage and with your stressors and with your financial responsibilities. So it is very unique and it is kind of streamlined to help make this as easy as possible for you. So as you can see here, we do have this navigation bar. And one thing that I did want to mention is that we do have experience points, which is what we see here, the XP points. And this is just some gamification that we have on the platform designed to help you stay motivated. I am a person that likes badges, and when it comes to my physical wellness, I use badges, and the platform that I'm on has that set into it. So I really love all of that kind of stuff. And we have the setting of sprouts on here and the seedling theme as well. And basically, you'll start off as a seedling, you'll get into a sprout, you'll come into a branch, I think, and then a tree, and then a forest. So basically, there's about 10 stages that you can level up to, and that's all going to change according to how often you interact with the platform. So if you're a person that is motivated by this type of thing, you want to pay attention to this and see how your XP points grow and how you grow and level up into those different stages. So then jumping into the financial wellness checkup. So since I already created a test account, there was one part that kind of didn't happen as it normally would, which is that there's a pop-up that tells you what to do. So I'm going to go ahead, since we don't have that pop-up, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to where it says checkup and click on the overview button. And that is going to take me to, we saw this in the PowerPoint, where those recommendations are. We're going to look at those monthly tasks as well. And then here is where I would go to retake my checkup if I had already taken it and I wanted to retake it. And just so you know, the system will prompt you to retake your checkup every 90 days automatically. So, but just for the purposes of showing you what the checkup looks like, and just to kind of give you a taste of what those questions are like as well, I'm going to go ahead and pop back into here so that you can see it. And just as a quick reminder, this is the way that the platform gets to kind of understand you a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And one thing I just wanted to point out too, it shows you here how much time it takes for you to do this. It's very, very quick. It's not a huge time commitment, which I love. So it's asking me if anything has changed. I'm going to go ahead and click yes. And then, okay, so are you currently employed? It's asking this because it wants to know what type of content to provide you with, right? And if you are, not employed, maybe you would be searching for a job, that sort of thing. Then we're going to navigate to the next question, which is, what sort of bank accounts do I currently have? So checking, savings, some people may not have a bank account, right? So then we want to respond to that and let them know where we're at with that. Then it's going to talk about emergency funds. It's going to then navigate to if I use a personal budget. And then let's see what the next question shows. Do I have any children, family members that rely on me for financial support? Are you a parent who's financially supporting a college student? I know that we probably have many folks here today that are. What types of debt do I have? I'll do one more for you just so you can kind of see. Are you usually able to pay your monthly bills and expenses without going into debt? And just so you also know, the types of questions that you get here can change slightly based on the responses that you give. So if you have, if you answer yes to something, there might be some follow-up questions that to that particular topic that you get. So it is dynamic in the way that you take this as well. So I think that that kind of gives you a picture of what it's touching on. And also you can see here, there's also the how you compare to others information. If you're interested in that, you can kind of see that. But that is in essence the financial wellness checkup. And again, this is 5 minutes or less. You're just answering some simple questions. And this is what's going to help tailor that recommended content for you. Any questions about that? I just want to do a quick pause. Yeah, I don't see any chat questions. Okay, perfect. And so then once you do the financial wellness checkup, the next step is the Your Money Personality Assessment. And I am very passionate about this assessment. I personally very much so believe in it. I love it. It has helped me immensely as well in my growth with my financial journey. It is designed to help you understand your money personality and the natural tendencies that we have and the psychology behind the financial decisions that we make. Of course, there is some strengths that are going to inevitably come out of that, lots of strengths, right? But then with some of those same strengths, there might be some challenges that arise with that as well. So it's kind of first of its kind. It was developed with um, experts and lots of folks that put their time and effort into this. And it is a fairly quick assessment for you to take. But I think that it's one of those things that really will help you when it comes to your long-term financial well-being, understanding your long-term financial journey. You kind of have to understand and have that insight to your financial personality and how that impacts your day-to-day and your long-term decision making. So I'm going to go ahead and come to Outlook. So this is where you're going to be able to, one of two places that you're going to be able to access your money personality results once you take it. Again, I already took it earlier today. So this is something that I've already completed, but you will be prompted to take this as you log into the platform. And I'm just going to touch on a couple of these, but these are basically the different chapters of your analysis. I say chapters because we're not talking about a full-fledged book here, but it is a nice and nifty tool to have and to be able to reference as you're thinking about your personality and how it affects your finances. So the first chapter is your emotions type, then your outlook type, your focus type, your influence type, and then there's a bonus chapter that we talked about some other aspects of your financial personality. So looking at the emotions, because this is one of the big ones when it comes to your money mindset, I got cautious here, which really tracks with me. Just so you know, you can use this up here to kind of look at the different chapters. And then the chapter 1 is really just the overview that kind of gives the background and the science and how it was put together. So if you're really interested in this, you can read a little bit more about it there. But navigating back to let me see if it got stuck. Give me 1 second. Navigating back to chapter 2. Oh, okay, let me get out and go back in. I got stuck for a second. I don't know what happened. Technology. Okay, so navigating back to chapter 2, which is the emotions. I got cautious, which, like I said, tracks very much with me. And one of the things that makes me such a big believer in this assessment is that I remember the first time that I took this many years ago when I first became introduced to the platform, which was well, it was 2020. It wasn't too long ago, but it's been a while. It's been about 5 years. So I remember looking at this, and I have a coaching background too. So I love this. I love that it talks about the strengths associated with this aspect of your personality, some of the challenges. I love that it gives you recommended content according to this particular chapter and what you're seeing as a result. And then I love these action items. I'm a big believer in action items, and I really took this to heart. And I will say that I feel like I have grown with my personality and just I've been able to kind of embrace some changes based on this. But One of the things that really stood out to me is, these strengths when you're cautious about your money, right? I care about money. It doesn't dominate my thinking. I try to strike a balance between controlling my finances and letting them control me. Of course, being cautious, you tend to avoid irresponsible debt, and irresponsible financial behavior in general. I'm well prepared. So these are all wonderful things, right? For the most part. They're definitely not bad things. But then, and this is something that I had a hard time with my partner at the time. This is something that I actually spoke about with him. It helped me be able to kind of articulate some of my feelings about finances and just really kind of shed some light on the way that I think. But I realized that, being overly cautious and being overly risk averse, it was really holding me back from making some decisions in my life that might have impacted growth. Right. So this was something that I really, again, just on a personal level, it kind of helped me understand that maybe I'm being a little bit too cautious, so it helped me grow in that sense. But there's different results that you would see here. So the other ones are apprehensive and relaxed for this particular category. And then jumping into, let's say, focus. So, what are we focused on? I'm very future focused. That kind of tracks with being cautious, as you can imagine. And again, so these are just results that will help you understand the strengths and then areas that you can grow with your money personality. And there's just so much that goes into that because there's so much that shapes the way that we think about our finances, right? And that's something that I also was very passionate about thinking about, even in my own household, how the money messages that I heard growing up and how that impacted the way I thought about taking out a loan, for example. Just lots of stuff to kind of unpack there. And I think that this is a great starting point to thinking about that. So I would encourage you to check this out. And the completion rate of this tool is very high because a lot of people find it very interesting. And then the last thing I wanted to mention to you is that in the chapter 7, you'll see some recommendations based on all of the results, and you'll be able to read more about the different personality types that maybe you didn't get associated with. And again, that recommended content based on this. I did see that we had a question. So does this just provide classes or also budget tools or tracking tools? Yeah, so that's a great question. We are going to be showing that in just a couple of minutes, but the answer is that it provides mini courses and it provides, we actually have a budgeting tool. There's lots of different tools that you can utilize on the platform, and I'll be showing you what those look like shortly. So, okay, so let me go ahead and get back. One thing I did want to mention as well, with the financial wellness checkup, when I showed you, when we were looking at retaking it, there was a few questions that were omitted from it because I already took it earlier, and that's what generates my stress score. So it's good to kind of have this in the back of your mind as well, especially if you really want to be looking at this a lot and monitoring how your stress score changes over time. It asks you questions like, what do you find yourself the most stressed about? How often are you preoccupied by your finances? How often do you experience financial regret with purchases? So it's a lot of questions that are geared towards that financial stress level. And then it's going to produce to you a little score here that you can use to kind of keep track of. And you will be able to update that score every 30 days. You can also click on this, and there's a little bit of an analysis that it provides you with. I'll click on it really quickly just to kind of show you what that looks like. But we all know that financial stress can play a huge role in our overall well-being. It can impact our mental health. It can impact our physical health sometimes in extreme cases. And, this is something that we want to be mindful of, especially because again, of that huge influence that it can have over our life. And, that's kind of the purpose of doing things like we're doing today and attending webinars, engaging with online resources like Enrich and iGrad. We want to make sure that this is kind of part of our routine and that we take care of our financial well-being just the same way we would with our mental and physical well-being as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. And we've checked out Outlook. We've checked out the checkup. The overview we looked at was where we retook our checkup. We also could click on the view recommendations and view monthly task. And then our progress really quickly, I wanted to kind of show you was the different categories according to those experience points. So right now, this is where I'm at, and you can see that there's other ways. It shows you how you can basically earn more experience points and progress and become the next level, which is beginner bud, is what I would go to next. This is also where you would access your favorites. So I'm going to show you how to favorite content. And you could, just for easy access, you can come here and revisit that content. And it's just an easy way of you seeing that. So just coming back to the overview and recommendation section. So these are the top recommendations that are based on my financial wellness checkup results. One thing that I did want to point out here is that there's recommendations by type. I love this because I'm not always in the mood to read a whole article. I might want to watch a video while I'm doing something else and just listen into it. I might want to review or might want to interact with a tool. We do also have journaling and meditation. So based on my recommendations from my responses, the meditations that are available for me or that are recommended are saving for life goals, retirement concerns, mortgage payments, and you can see the time frames that are required for those particular meditations as well. So there's so many different ways to learn and develop and grow using this platform. And we really tried to make it unique and cover all the different ways that people enjoy engaging with content. So did want to mention here the monthly tasks. So as I mentioned before, September is emergency fund focused. So if you click on take this month's course, you're going to see that it mentions our emergency fund course. It just directs you to that. And that is how you would satisfy taking this month's course. And that is going to help you earn sprouts, which you can redeem for entries to our sweepstakes. Our sweepstakes is actually a oh, okay, sorry. I haven't seen this pop up in a while. But our sweepstakes is actually a way that you can win. You're entered into a drawing to win up to, they have 5 different amounts. It's $1,000 broken down into different increments. And all you have to do is redeem sprouts and you'll be entered into that automatically. So who doesn't like to have a chance to win some extra money, right? So you can essentially be rewarded financially, possibly, you know, obviously it's a chance, but for engaging in this financial education, right? So I think that that's something else that we do to try and entice people to stay active on the platform, and just another kind of bonus to working on your financial well-being using this platform. So that's the monthly task and the different ways that you can kind of engage with that particular topic. And that pretty much covers, in essence, the entire dashboard, I would say. I think we went through everything. And Mary, feel free to chime in if I missed something that you think is important, but I think we covered about everything. And one thing I wanted to point out before we get into all of the topics and mindfulness section of the platform is that there is also a chat bot that is available for you to use. So this is something that will not direct you to any sort of external resources. You can engage with this chatbot in a variety of different ways. So let's say you want to go incognito, you can totally do that. And that conversation will not be saved in our system and will not be used in any sort of training or anything really. So it's just a completely private conversation. So you could say, it's going to be general because it is just general education that we provide via the platform. But you could say something like, tell me about retirement and starting to plan for retirement with limited, with limited funds. Let's see what it says to that. That's one that I've never asked before. It's thinking. So starting to plan for retirement with limited funds can feel overwhelming, but there are still strategies you can adopt to work towards your retirement goals. So it gives you some quick tips here. And then it also provides you with some resources that you can navigate to that are specific to that topic. One thing that I always tend to ask is, can you tell me about the 50/30/20 rule? It will tell you a breakdown of what that means. So let's say you've attended a wonderful monthly webinar with FAME and you remember something about budgeting, and maybe they've mentioned the 50/30/20 rule in the past. You could use this to kind of search and just easily find an answer to your question, just like you're probably using AI in other capacities as well. So that's our chat bot, and it's just something you can kind of use as a quick answer tool for yourself. But navigating to the next part that I wanted to go over, which is looking at all of the different topics, because not only do we have a dynamic platform with a ton of different ways that you can learn, there are also a lot of topics that you can explore. And one thing I did want to mention is that we are constantly updating with new content as well. We're not only just putting new content on the platform, paying attention to the trends, paying attention to different regulations that are being released. We're also auditing our content too. So you can, be comfortable knowing that we're providing you with really good education opportunities. As you can see, there's tons of topics on here. We have it kind of divided according to different categories. There's really, it's very comprehensive. So estate planning, family matters, if you decided to work with financial professionals, some of the things to keep an eye out for, healthcare, real estate, insurance, lots of different topics on here. Understanding paychecks, tech, if you're planning for a wedding. I know for some of our college students, I think there's one like called Pets somewhere. Yeah, Pets, which I think is such it's something that we overlook. But when I was working at a university, we had some students coming in for coaching, trying to think about budgeting for pets. So there's just pretty much everything that you can think of is on here. And I encourage you to spend some time looking at this. One of the big things is, saving for a child's education. That might be something that's very interesting for you and something for you to take a look at. I know that you have some really unique programs, being that you're in the state of Maine, and that there's a lot of resources available for you all. So that's the topics page. And I think that that's something that, for sure you should take a look at. And then just looking into the ways to learn, like I've talked about already, we have a variety of ways to learn on this platform. And the mini courses are really a great way to get started. So some of them are as low as, I think the 10 minutes is I think the shortest one that we have. And then I think the longest one is about 45 minutes. But different topics here as well. Lots of different things that you can take. Our most recent one released was the Building Smarter Spending Habits. Another big one that was important for folks recently was Navigating Market Volatility. We're trying to release courses pretty often. So typically on a quarterly basis, you'll see new courses here. And again, it just is very comprehensive. Understanding the basics of a 529 plan. I know that that one is very important and useful for folks, especially being that you're in the state of Maine and you have access to different resources. So that's our mini courses. I also wanted to spend a little time showing you our tools, especially since somebody in the chat, we had Atlanta mention, what are the tools available on the platform. We have the Your Money Personality, so you could also navigate to it from there. You can also utilize the Retirement Analyzer as well. That might be something that's of interest to you to see if you're on track with your finances. There's the Credit Card Pay Down tool. We have a really wonderful budgeting tool that I love very much because it's pretty simple and easy to use. I'm just going to kind of pop into that for a quick second to show you. It has these little bars that you can mess around with that are pretty easy to utilize. You can also I love that you can add in your goals on here as well. You can completely add a new goal if these do not capture all the goals that you want, or if you're missing one from this picture, from this list. There's investing as well. You can add a new investment, monthly expenses, and then of course it's going to provide you with, this if you're thinking to yourself, I don't want a budget, I know there's a lot of resources online, so you can find a budget, but what I love about this one in particular is that it gives you a really comprehensive list of all of those expenses that you may not really think of. So one of the biggest difficulties with budgeting is, having those unexpected things that we didn't account for, and then getting frustrated because things are not working out the way that we thought they would. Why are we in the negative, So I think that this is a really great way to get started. If you don't have a budget that you're currently using on a personal level or for your household, I would recommend, taking a look at this and seeing if it would work for you. And it's going to give you a nice overview of if you're in the positive or if you are spending more than you can really afford to spend. And then, of course, it's going to give you some resources and an analysis as well. So yeah, we definitely have this budget tool. We also have a budget worksheet. If you're more of an Excel person, there is a budget worksheet on here too. I've had people that tend to gravitate a little bit more to that as well. So that's something that you could use. And then going down here, so there's a tool related to debt to income ratio. There's also for those that may have students that are in college, we have a scholarship search. This is a nationwide, and also we have some international opportunities as well for scholarships. We have a 529 savings planner. There's things related to home affordability, cars, the list goes on. So there's a lot on here for you to use. And we also have the investment allocation tool, which will kind of help you understand how your investments could potentially grow and, a little bit about risk as well. And that's the tool section on the platform. We have our articles, our Start Here guide, our videos, our infographics, our webinars. So every month we do have a new webinar, and we have this library of webinars as well, that if you can't make the time and dates, that's totally fine. You'll be able to come on here and watch it after the fact. And we have different topics, every single month, and our presenter is very engaging. His name is Hassan Thomas. He has his own podcast. I think he has a couple of podcasts actually. So he really makes finances fun. So I would recommend, if you haven't ever attended any of our webinars, I know that you're here today. Maybe in a couple of weeks you could set a goal for yourself to listen to one of these. And it's really, honestly, he does make it fun, and it's a great way to learn about financial topics. And then there's the mindfulness section. I know we're almost at 10 minutes. I do want to allow some time for questions. So just to kind of show you here, this is where we would have those meditations. We would have the journaling and the stress score that we talked about earlier as well. And there's different things that you can kind of take a look at here. There is a 8-week money mindfulness program. So this is something that if you do have more time and are very committed to it, working on your financial well-being and building those great habits, you could sign up for that and try to get through that. It's a really great program. I really enjoyed it when I did it. So I think that that's the main parts of the platform that I wanted to get through with you all today. Do we have any questions for me since I'm all done here? I think we have a little bit of time. We have plenty of time for questions.
Kimberly, that was awesome. There were even some things that I haven't taken a close look at in a while or ever. So that was very helpful for me to see you do that deep dive. So thank you so much. I don't see any questions right now in the chat. I do see someone said, in reference to signing up, it does not let me select other or not listed. Any ideas? So I'm not sure why. So it sounds like they're on Enrich and they are selecting their employer, and it's not letting them select other, which I've not experienced. So we'll have Kimberly take a look at that. But other than that, I don't see any questions. You can choose fame on there if you want to. But I would have to go and take a look and see if I'm experiencing the same thing. Are you able to select other?
Yeah, so I'm on there now. The drop down, it did let me do it. on my end. And the platform is compatible with all browsers. So it's a little funky that that's happening, but I would say maybe try a different browser. I don't know if if that'll make a difference, or you could do what Mary said and just kind of select one of the other options. But it's working for me on my end. Sometimes these weird tech things happen, like it wasn't letting me
Yeah.
click the chapter.
Right.
So I apologize for that, but yeah, on my end it's working.
Okay. The participant said they can select fame without that issue, so that's great.
Okay, that's so weird. I've never heard of that happening
Yeah.
before, but I believe it. It just these things
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah.
It happens. It happens. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. I don't think we have any other questions at the moment, so I think we'll let folks, we'll give them 9, 10 minutes back to their day. We appreciate you all being here. And again, check out the series. And as I said, we've got another webinar on budgeting coming up on October 3rd, but many other webinars throughout the year. We run this series year round. So we hope you'll check it out. And the recordings are available too if you can't join live. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Kimberly. I really appreciate your time today. And I hope everyone has a
Kim,
wonderful and lovely weekend.
hang on a second. A
Oh,
question
okay.
just popped in the
Got
Q&A.
some questions. Okay, great.
Can you see it, Kimberly or Mary,
Let me take a look here.
in the Q&A?
You can share the budget, or does the person have to be? Oh, that's a great question. So
Yeah.
you can actually download the budget from the budget tool. So that's something that is downloadable. You can access it from your phone as well to share as part of a conversation. Um, for the your money personality, I mean, there's different ways that you could try and work on it together. You could try to maybe create two accounts. I don't know if that would be okay, but that way you could, use the budgeting tool. The budgeting tool would not be shared. Yeah, I understand your question. So yeah, that would not be able to be shared across different accounts. It would be something that you'd have to share logged in under your account. Sorry, I was a little trying to make sense of the question. Now I get it. And then also, as I was talking about the whole using these things as a tool for your partners, I did have my now spouse take the Your Money Personality Assessment, and it did lead to some really fruitful conversations with us together. So that is something that you could potentially do, is have two different logins there. But the budgeting tool itself cannot be shared across logins as of right now, but you can download it and use it in different ways. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, feel free to follow up with a different one as well, or a supplement question. Maybe I answered it. So, okay.